Good morning, everyone. My name is Chelsea Crowder-Luke. Woo, that's my table. I am a banker at JP Morgan. I'm a board member of the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. And this morning, I am your host for the 52nd annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brotherhood Breakfast. On behalf of the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles, I want to welcome all of you and thank you for being here. This is, I think, my fourth MLK Brotherhood Breakfast, and this event actually was my introduction to the Y. It was what let me know that this was an organization that I wanted to be a part of. And it's so exciting to be here this morning because we have two things that I'm really excited about. We have a lot of firsts that are going to be gracing the stage this morning, and we also have a lot of Black girl magic if you take a look at this program. So I was speaking to someone in the audience who this is their first Brotherhood Breakfast, and they were like, you know, it's so wonderful to be at an event with an organization who's celebrating, you know, women and women in sports. And I was like, you know, historically, we have celebrated all people in their fields of endeavor and achievement at the intersection of sports and social impact. But I think it's so amazing that this morning we're able to honor and convene with these amazing women. And over there at table 65, we're gonna settle down a little bit. Table 65 is rowdy. Okay, awesome. So I'm grateful to be here in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy and in celebration of our theme, Keep Moving Forward. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the committee members who are here with me this morning, whose dedication and tireless effort and encouragement helped us put together this breakfast. If you served on the planning committee for the MLK Brotherhood Breakfast, could you please stand? Thank you all so much. And it was that committee that came together to ultimately choose the theme for this morning. As I was thinking about the theme, Keep Moving Forward, and what that meant to me and where it came from, I wanted to look further into the speech that quotation is just an excerpt from. And this speech was a speech that Dr. King delivered in 1967 to a group of college students, where he told them that they were at a critical point in their lives, that the decisions that they made at that moment could change the trajectory of their lives forever. And he asked them a question of whether or not they had a solid blueprint. He argued that there were three key tenets to that blueprint. One, a deep belief in your own worth and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. You matter. Two, you must have a determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. And three, be a commitment to the principles of beauty, love, and justice. I would argue that as we come out of this pandemic and get to the other side, we're all at crucial points in our lives where we have to decide who we want to be and how we want to move forward. And so as this program unfolds today, I urge each of you to reflect on where you are and where you want to be. And I'd argue that each of the women who we have the privilege of hearing from and honoring today are the embodiment of this blueprint that Dr. King spoke about, creating a better tomorrow for generations to come. So with that, we're going to get started with the program, and I'd like to welcome our first speaker to the stage, Board Chair Andrew Kroll. As chairman, he's demonstrated strong character and a deep love for the WISE mission. His day job, he's the Vice Chairman of Wealth Management at D.A. Davidson & Co. Andrew, thank you so much for your leadership.
Boy, Chelsea, thank you very much for the kind words, but I want to give a special recognition to this being your 4th year as chair. If you get to know Chelsea for about 1 minute, you'll see that her passion and energy are contagious, and she gives me and our entire board of directors great hope for the future, and I hope that you will be inspired by her remarks throughout today. I also want to say that she has a passion for social justice, which we have needed, breathed into our boardroom continually, especially over the last couple of years. And so, Chelsea, thank you for all of the leadership you have brought to our board of directors. She also has a day job when she's not putting on the Dr. Martin Luther King Brotherhood breakfast. As she said, she is a vice president and banker with JP Morgan Private Bank here in Los Angeles. And prior to that, she started at a little-known firm called Goldman Sachs, where she began her career in sales and trading for institutional clients before she eventually moved into a role focused on social impact and ultimately became an advisor in the firm's private wealth management division. She's got other credentials like a BS in engineering management systems and a minor in entrepreneurship and innovation from Columbia University. Chelsea, thank you for chairing today's event. Thank you for being our host, and thank you for the passion that you bring to this breakfast. So on behalf of the entire board of directors of the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles, I too would like to personally thank you all for being here today and for coming out to personally recognize and honor the contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King and the amazing impact he has had on our community here in Los Angeles. We're also going to hear some amazing stories of people who have been inspired by his vision, and we're going to recognize them with some awards. Personally, I stand here inspired today that 52 years later, the YMCA is still holding this brotherhood breakfast, and no doubt you feel the same way as you look around this room and you see this incredible tapestry that is Los Angeles County, people from all walks of life joining together to recognize Dr. King's remarkable impact on Los Angeles and the world. Today's gathering is a powerful reminder that it is his message of justice, equality, love, and truth, and that still resonates just as much today as it did when he first uttered that speech that you told us about, Chelsea. Today allows us to personally recommit to the values and the dreams and the vision that Dr. King espoused. Today's breakfast would not be possible without our presenting sponsor, the Los Angeles Kings. Their generous and kind support of this event helps us come together as a community, and it's been since 2017 that the LAY and the Kings have had a strategic partnership. And that partnership has helped both of our organizations expand our reach and help thousands of children, teens, families, all so they can live happier and healthier lifestyles. The Kings brought the great game of ball hockey to the children and teens we serve in LA, and they've helped us enrich virtually every other youth program that we do. They've been tremendous sponsors, and their sponsorship today is genuinely appreciated. We want to honor them uniquely and showcase their great organization as the philanthropic juggernaut that it is here in Los Angeles, and so we've prepared a short video that I'd like you to watch. Let's see how the Kings have helped the Los Angeles community in partnership with the LAY.
For over 50 years, the Los Angeles Kings have been a shining beacon of joy for Southern California. They bring excitement, passion, and triumph to the ice, captivating the hearts of their devoted fans and their unforgettable events and legendary players. But it's not just the Kings on ice success that makes them a world-class organization. It's also their deep commitment to giving back to the community and positively impacting the lives of those in our city. In 2017, the Los Angeles Kings and the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles became a powerful force for good, coming together as strategic partners to launch their flagship youth sports program, the LA Kings Ball Hockey Program. The Los Angeles Kings Ball Hockey Program is a fun and engaging experience for kids to learn lessons of teamwork, sportsmanship, and fair play while applying hockey skills that strengthen their coordination and confidence. A consummate partner, the Kings provided all the necessary resources and support to ensure its success and to remove all access barriers to youth. They supplied all the equipment needed to run the ball hockey program. The Kings Chariot staff team provided instructions and training to Y team members to run practices and clinics. And every child in the program received their very own ball and stick. To date, the ball hockey program has reached 12,630 children. As a standalone program, ball hockey has been an incredible success. But the Kings and the LAY knew there was greater potential to reach more children by integrating ball hockey into our more extensive youth programs. In 2023, all school district play program participants in the LAY's premier physical learning activities for youth program will be provided an opportunity to participate in ball hockey, reaching an additional 22,950 children in the most under-resourced communities we serve. Additionally, the Los Angeles Kings have built a hockey rink at Camp Whittle, providing a fantastic new resource for campers to enjoy and learn new skills. This generous gift expanded our camp program offerings and added excitement and adventure to the camp experience. Our campers now can play the game of hockey in an incredibly safe and controlled environment, all while having fun with their friends and creating memories that will last a lifetime. The King's support extends past the rink. They are a generous sponsor of Healthy Kids Day, educating and helping families to build an appreciation for living a healthy lifestyle. In addition, they have demonstrated their commitment to equity and inclusion in sports by sponsoring the first YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles Girls Empowerment Summit. The event provided girls from different ethnic, racial, and economic backgrounds access to sports and physical activity. For the Kings, inspiring girls with education, motivation, and programming that focuses on health, academic achievement, and self-esteem building is of the utmost importance. The summit was a powerful reminder of what diversity can bring when everyone has an equal chance to participate and thrive in sports. And today, as we gather to pay tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the Kings are the presenting sponsor. Their sponsor support enhance our ability to serve as an agent of positive change in our community and as a delivery system for Dr. King's message. It also gives evidence of their commitment to the ideas Dr. King stood for and their promise to continue to fight to create a more just and equitable world. The YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles and the children, teens, and families we serve thank the Los Angeles Kings for their generous sponsor support for the 52nd annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brotherhood Breakfast, and for their unwavering commitment to the cause of strengthening community.
The Los Angeles Kings are represented this morning by my fellow board member and friend and the Chief Operating Officer of the LA Kings and also AEG Sports, Mr. Kelly Cheeseman. And Kelly is joined by Jennifer Pope, who is the Senior Vice President of Community and Hockey Development. Kelly, Jennifer, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for your support of this event, and more importantly, thank you for helping enrich the lives of our youth here in Los Angeles County. So in addition to the Kings' invaluable support, we have a whole who's who list of sponsors that you see on the inside cover of your program. We would like to recognize all of these sponsors for their contributions in helping us put on this event and the work of the LAY all throughout the year. So at this time, I want to turn our attention and make one important recognition and introduction. I want to congratulate our new president and CEO, the 12th in the 140-year history of the LAY, Mr. Victor Dominguez. Victor, you will be hearing from later, but Victor has served the Y for so many years. You'll hear his story, but he is a skilled and dedicated leader. He's navigated us, obviously, through some very rough waters, particularly over the last few years. But in addition to that, he has a vision of where we can move forward as an association and as a community. I'm confident that under Victor's leadership, we'll not only weather whatever new storms come our way, and I'm sure there's some new ones that we haven't expected, but we're going to thrive and reach new heights. That's the kind of visionary leader he is. Victor, congratulations. And now I am totally overwhelmed by this. We are graced this morning with the presence of a whole host of community and civic leaders, so many such that I was just given a list about 1 minute before I walked up here, because leaders keep walking through the door, and we appreciate you being here. Would you please stand so that we can recognize you as I read down this list of who's who? First, from California's Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. LA County Board of Supervisors, 5th District, Catherine Barger. Los Angeles County Supervisor of the 3rd District and Chair Pro Tem, Lindsay Horvath. Our Police Chief and my fellow board member, Michael Moore. Los Angeles City Council member for the 13th District, for the 11th District, my bad, Tracy Park. City of Southgate Council member, Al Rios. City of Cudahy Council member, Jose Gonzalez. LA City Council member for the 15th District, Tim McOsker. LAUSD board member, Nick Melvoin. From the LA Superior Court, Judge Lucy Armendariz. Chief Rambo. And finally, from Indianapolis, Assistant Chief Bailey. We thank you all for being here to honor Dr. Martin Luther King this morning. Okay, and finally, and maybe most importantly, as the board chair, I get to just be in the bird's eye view of watching our dedicated staff, volunteers, and partners, and trying to cheer them on and support the vision that they have. These are the boots on the ground doing the work every single day. You know, we've made a lot of sacrifices in the last few years. All of us have. But as a Y, we never stopped asking the critical question, what can we do for others? Can we do more? What are the most pressing needs in our communities? We asked them, and then we answered them because of the help, selfless volunteers, incredible staff, and support of all our partners, and I thank you all for that. You know, in her opening remarks, Chelsea eloquently drew our attention to this morning's theme of keep moving forward. On the screen, you'll see this quote from Dr. King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. This quote speaks to the resilience and determination and the heart of the human spirit. It also speaks to the importance of progress and underscores the actual progress never takes a break. You can't stand still. Things are always changing and moving. We have to move with them. It reminds us that no matter how difficult the journey may get, we must keep moving forward. We've been reminded time and time again, justice and the journey to it is obviously not a straight line. It's got bumps, curves, pitfalls, challenges, yet no matter how difficult the path ahead may seem, we must keep moving forward together. As the board chair, I remained completely overwhelmed and encouraged and humbled by the work being done by the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. We've made progress on issues like education, healthcare, civil rights, economic opportunity. We're fighting to close the financial and racial wealth gap. We're working to increase access to higher education for all students and provide essential healthcare services in underserved communities plagued by poverty despite the pandemic-induced adversity. But even as we recognize the important work we've done so far, I encourage you all this morning to reflect on how much more there is to do. We cannot relent in our efforts. We need literally everyone's voice to bring about real change for those individuals who are too often left behind when it comes to opportunity and justice. That's what today is all about. So no matter what obstacles stand before us, today or tomorrow, let us remember forward is the only direction if we want true justice and community strengthening for all. I want to leave you with a short video that highlights some of the programs and services that the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles has offered over the past year so we could keep our communities together. I hope you too will be inspired and proud to be part of such a compassionate organization. You're going to see that we offered food distribution, child care, senior services, shower programs, blood drives, and so many other programs because that's what the community needed. And you thought we were gyms and swimming pools. Thank you for joining us this morning, and enjoy the video.
The YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles has been an agent of change in the Los Angeles community for over 140 years, serving as a pillar to strengthen the foundation of community. When our families needed us the most, we were there, responding to drastic changes in our county. Your YMCA stood tall for all Angelinos. We saw continued growth across all 27 branches of the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles, with an emphasis on social impact. To address inequity in sports, we hosted a Girls Empowerment Summit to improve access to girls and women in sports. To provide green spaces in our highest need areas, we partnered with the Dodgers to open a brand new Dodgers Dream Field in the city of Maywood. The YMCA also took a bold new step this year and is now offering sports programming at no cost to members. Every child interested in participating in youth sports is guaranteed access to the quality sports programming the Y provides. Bridging the learning gap, we continue to address the digital divide and saw a return to in-person programming, merging with Cal Y as our 27th branch. The LAY now leads the charge to offer high-quality youth development and civic engagement youth and government programs with an equitable focus across the entire state of California. This new change has allowed us to partner with the Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, to engage and mobilize high school students across California to register and pre-register all Californians to vote and use their voice for change. Knowing the challenges our undocumented families face, we have invested in expanding our new American Welcome Centers and immigration services to more Ys than ever before. Our capacity to serve immigrants and newcomers expanded to virtual and in-person services with a focus on continued growth and impact in 2023. Rising inflation continues to push those most in need to the fringes. That is why the LAY has given out and distributed over 9 million pounds of fresh produce to ensure families in need can always count on the Y for a meal. Our promise to you is that helping to solve food insecurity will remain a top priority for us. For our unhoused neighbors, your Y has committed to continuing our social service programs, which include a robust hygiene program that continues to expand across the city of LA. The Cradle to Career Success Initiative is a cornerstone of our Y offering, which is why your LAY is expanding our Early Learning Readiness Program to serve more families in 2023 and beyond. ELR offers children 0 to 5 and their caregivers guided programming to provide them with the tools students will need to be school ready. Our Boys and Young Men of Color work will continue to be a focus for us. We partnered with IBM as part of the Call for Code for Racial Justice Project. The LAY had the opportunity to influence and update the latest iteration of 5/5 voter to help educate, empower, and enable disenfranchised minority voters to overcome setbacks incurred by voter suppression. The YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles saw tremendous growth in our social services. Our goal is to provide guidance and mentorship from cradle to career and beyond. With this in mind, the LAY is proud to announce a new social impact department to ensure that we will continue to meet the needs of our communities through programs focused on equity and inclusion, food insecurity, immigration integration, and health equity. Today, as we reaffirm our commitment to Dr. King's dream, we stand proud knowing that the LAY continues to transform lives for all Angelenos.
I'm back. And I was so ready to use a quotation from Gerard Carmichael, who hosted the Golden Globes. So I'm just going to read it anyway. Settle, 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 settle people. In the back, let's be a little quiet here. Everybody, let's be a little quiet here. Thank you so much for your attention to this wonderful program. Thank you, Andrew. As you so eloquently put it, we are more than gyms and swimming pools, as you've seen from the videos that we've shown. And I want to thank you to all of our sponsors, a special thank you to the LA Kings organization, and thank you, Wendy and Blake, for all of the work that you've done in preparing the wonderful words that I'm going to read to you from this card now. So the next part of our program is one of my favorites. We're going to welcome the 75th California Youth and Government Youth Governor, Ava Castro de Verona, to deliver this morning's inspiration. As an association, we are so proud of Ava. Ava's a teen member at the Westchester Y and a senior at Wish Academy High School. Woo-woo, Westchester, I hear you in the house. She has a passion for youth leadership and mental health advocacy. Welcome to the stage, Ava.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. Hello, distinguished guests, and thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Ava Castro de Verona from the Westchester Family YMCA. My pronouns are she, her, and I am currently serving as the 75th Youth Governor of California. I would like to give a special thank you to the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles for allowing me this opportunity to connect with each of you. The Y shaped my personality and values from a very young age. It began at Big Bear's Whittle Family Camp and Sleepaway Camp at Round Meadow, where I got my first taste of true independence. It took quite a while for my parents to make friends with the idea of me exploring the mountains, let alone the world, without them hovering over my every move, which was understandable because I was about 8 years old. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. often spoke of the importance of social and personal responsibility. These two elements are interconnected, as social responsibility often stems from the latter. During those formative years at camp, I developed a love for the outdoors and learned what it meant to be responsible for myself. I honed my ability to follow a schedule, develop self-control, and make good decisions on my own. That was the power of camp for me. By learning to care for myself, I actually learned how to care for others. My YMCA journey continued as I dove into the youth and government programs, starting with Model United Nations in 8th grade. When I joined the Model Legislature and Court program of youth and government as a freshman, I remember being overwhelmingly intimidated by every aspect of the program. Y&G is a place where the best and brightest teenage minds go. Everyone in the program seemed incredibly intelligent and politically savvy, and to be perfectly honest, I had blindly joined because my older brother was already in the program. So thank you to Malik for that. So many delegates from across California were these fearless public leaders, processing fully formed political opinions with sharp takes on every current issue. That air of confidence and knowledge was something I considered unachievable for the person that I was at the time. But that began to change at my first statewide conference. It was there that I got my first taste of what it meant to step into leadership, observing the seniors who had mentored me throughout the year, and learning from other experienced delegates pushed me to let go of my worries and embrace change with open arms. YNG was no longer just about debating legislation and learning the ins and outs of government. It was about leadership and action and creating impact. Dr. King once said, "The ultimate measure of man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." The confidence that I have gained and the person that I have grown into over the course of my time in YMCA's programs has contributed my ability to withstand challenging times. I leaned further and further into the love that I felt from those around me, and the more I branched out into uncomfortable spaces, the more opportunities presented themselves. I began to connect with my peers in a way you don't necessarily get in a high school community or a community you grow up in. I met people who differed from me and my values, and we were still able to establish common ground as we chose to learn from our differences rather than dismiss each other because of them. I started to push myself to run for local and statewide positions such as chaplain, historian, and committee chair, despite my own insecurities. Running for youth governor was by far the scariest. I internalized so many doubts and believed that I would not win the race because I was not the typical demographic that I've seen reflected in positions of power. However, I eventually realized that all my differences set me apart from other candidates and actually allowed me to relate to those around me. They didn't hurt my chances, they helped me. 60 years ago, someone like me, who looks like me, who loves like me, with a family like mine that I wouldn't trade for anything, would not have had this opportunity simply because diversity and inclusion and seeing value in people regardless of background weren't values set as a moral baseline by the majority of my country. Dr. King fought to shine a light on injustice in all its forms, and today, thanks to his efforts and so many others that have carried the torch of justice since the civil rights era, I am the presiding youth governor of California. I'm endlessly grateful for his dedication to justice, and I continue to look to his legacy to push myself to uphold the same commitment to social responsibility so I can uplift others and fight for all, no matter how many may be dragging their heels in the path of progress. This fall, I'm heading off to college, where I intend to pursue a major in comparative literature and minor in human rights. Being a part of the Y is the foundation that inspired me to pursue a service-focused track in my studies and future career. My experience in public speaking has taught me that I am a storyteller at heart. I want to be a writer, and through my words, advocate for topics that I'm passionate about and ensure the voices of others are heard. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the Westchester Family YMCA and the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. The Y is a place near and dear to my heart and countless youth across the greater Los Angeles area. Without you all contributing your time, treasure, and talent, our Ys and our communities would not be where they are today. It is such an honor to be here and to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as well as each of you. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Madam Governor. The governor can be found at table 14 for any of you who are interested in giving scholarships, internships. I know she's going to be very highly sought after, so you might want to get in now, because I'm very confident that we'll be seeing Ava on many, many stages in the future. Thank you so much, Ava. And it is now with immense pride and enthusiasm that I welcome someone with a deep commitment to strengthening communities, promoting youth development, coalition building, and creating social change, our new president and CEO, Victor Dominguez, to deliver the president's message. To know Victor is to love him, and also probably to have been politely and passionately persuaded to join him in working towards a better LA for all Angelenos. If Victor hasn't asked you to join him in something, it either means you're not doing the work or your call is coming. Victor has a grand vision for the future and believes in the power of possibility. It's also a historic moment for the Y, as Victor is the first person of color in the 140-year history of the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles to be appointed to be the CEO of this organization. One of our many firsts on the stage today. He offers a fresh perspective and ideas that are needed now more than ever in our city today. Welcome Victor to the stage.
All right, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, before I get started, I want to say thank you to also Luke Robitaille here today, representing the Kings. You cannot acknowledge Luke at the podium. So, do I hear a Luke? There you go, Luke. So, Chelsea, thank you. I am humbled to be the first, but pray that I am not the last. Thank you. Your tremendous leadership and vision on behalf of today's breakfast as host and committee chair, along with your enthusiasm and passion for social justice, is truly inspiring. And Andrew, my friend and colleague, thank you for that rousing welcome. Your dedication to the LAY and your kind support has been invaluable to me as CEO, and our association is stronger for it. I also want to thank our board of directors and express our deep appreciation for all that they do. The work we do as an organization, providing support to those in need, addressing community challenges, or striving for a more just and equitable society would not be possible without your incredible support and dedication. Please join me in thanking Chelsea, Andrew, and the YMCA Board of Directors for all that they do. Ava, Madam Governor, great job. It's really going to be difficult following you, so I will try here as best I can. Our annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brotherhood Breakfast is always one of my favorite events. I am always inspired by our incredible speakers and reminded of how much work we have yet to accomplish. Leading up to the morning of the breakfast is always a time of deep reflection for me. This year was no different. In fact, I found myself even more pensive than in past years, and was reminded of a Dr. King story that has always been incredibly special to me, and I'd like to share it with all of you. In April 1963, Birmingham, Alabama, was, as Dr. King said, the most thoroughly segregated city in the country. It was an American Johannesburg ruled by fear and plagued by hate. And for that reason, Dr. King and other civil rights leaders chose Birmingham as the city for their next massive direct action campaign. On April 10th, city government officials obtained a state circuit injunction against the demonstration because they didn't want outsiders in their city. However, Dr. King and campaign leaders still pressed forward, even though violating this injunction meant risking dire consequences, such as going to jail. Dr. King said, "We cannot all in good conscience obey such an injunction, which is an unjust, undemocratic, and unconstitutional misuse of the legal process. Therefore, on April 12th, nonviolent demonstration against segregation commenced. The sheriff arrested King and went above and beyond protocol for this kind of arrest by cruelly placing him in solitary confinement." Imagine the scene. King in solitary confinement, unsure of his release, feeling alone and anxious. And to add insult to injury, 8 Birmingham clergy members condemned the demonstration in the newspaper. These were emotionally and physically trying circumstances King found himself in. So how did he handle all of this? Well, instead of feeling self-pity or questioning his resolve or protest methods, he felt the intense urge and determination to continue the work. This was the moment that he penned his famous essay, Letter from a Birmingham Jail, in the margins of that same newspaper, right there in his cell. When you read the letter, it's painfully obvious that all King wanted was for African Americans to live a dignified life, free from the daily humiliations of segregation, free from terror, and free to pursue happiness. And to ensure these freedoms became law, King asked that African Americans be integrated into Birmingham's political and economic power structure. But what truly makes this letter so remarkable is that it was born out of one of the darkest periods, literally and figuratively, for King during the Civil Rights Movement. He was exhausted, and public opinion of him was at the tipping point before it went negative. However, within the letter, he very eloquently, in one sentence, lays out why he kept going. He said it was to help men to rise from the depths of prejudice, the dark depths of prejudice and racism, to the majestic heights of understanding and brotherhood. That's pretty powerful. That sentiment is the guiding principle of the entire civil rights movement and would not allow King to become pessimistic. It kept him hopeful that a better future was attainable for everyone, and it empowered him to do the work, no matter how dire the circumstances. His letter was printed all over the country, and as a result, many more people joined his cause, sacrificing life, limb, and liberty. And in the end, the Birmingham campaign led to the passage of the landmark 1964 Civil Rights Act, which still protects us today. And that's what we are celebrating today. We are here to honor the sacrifices made while carrying forward the work that began with Dr. King and those inspired leaders. As we reflect on the legacy of Dr. King and the civil rights movement, it's important to remember that the struggle for equality and justice is ongoing. While significant progress has been made, much work is still to be done. We are still fighting against racism and bigotry in all its form, and simultaneously try to create a pathway to elevate all Angelenos. Over the past 3 years, the LAY has faced many challenges. We have encountered roadblocks, setbacks, and moments of frustration. But through it all, we have never given up. Instead, we have persevered because we believe in our work and in our mission. The challenges we face are temporary, and we will overcome them with hard work and determination, with equality and justice as our guiding North Star. This belief was borne out in our achievements over the past 3 years. Despite challenges, we made significant progress towards our goal. We served so many more community members than anticipated, provided social impact programs that are true to our roots in the origins of the YMCA, and continue today to be a convener and a place and space for peace and healing. In fact, later this year, our Wilmington Y will be the first of several Y branches to become peace and healing centers for the city of Los Angeles. And in partnership with our friends at the YWCA, we will be facilitating LA for healing circles to foster a space of dialogue and sense of community, equity, and belonging during these challenging times for our community as well. This work is a testament to the long history the Y has as a convener and the trust we have built with communities we serve. It is our responsibility to lean into this role now more than ever. As a society, we learned quite a bit during the pandemic, and we collectively promised ourselves that we would never go back to the way things were pre-pandemic. At the Y, not only are we keeping that promise, we are doubling down on our commitment to being the centers of hope in our community, building upon our ability to drive impact through social services. In 2023, we are launching our social impact department. For the first time in the LAY's history, we will have a dedicated department to support all Y branches and partners to provide programs and services that are focused on equity and inclusion, food and security, immigration, integration, and health equity. Our LAY will continue to evolve in an intentional and dedicated manner to support our communities when and how they need us most. We are never going back. This is proof of the progress our community and the LAY have made in bridging gaps and uniting individuals of different backgrounds. And it's a testament of the fact that if we build bridges based on mutual respect and human decency, not create barriers that separate and divide people, then we all win. For 52 years, the YMCA has celebrated Dr. King with this breakfast, remaining hopeful, optimistic, and inclusive. We have used his message and guiding principle to create a better future together, in which we are all embraced, we're valued, and not judged by our differences or our backgrounds. We've created the county's largest and most significant health and family services organization. It's a place for you to volunteer and engage with your community. It's hands down the best investment for anyone who wishes to expand their philanthropic and community impact. We, the Y, create unique partnerships, convene diverse organizations and groups of people to find common ground. And we promote civic responsibility among all ages, all in our service of our overarching cause to build stronger communities. During a 1965 commencement speech at Oberlin College, Dr. King said, "The time is always right to do right. But it starts with you and me as individuals, recommitting ourselves to Dr. King's legacy here today. Let us not forget the power we possess to shape the future. As citizens not only of this country, but of our society and our community, it is our collective responsibility to ensure that all in our midst can share in Dr. King's dream. The fight for racial and social equity isn't a battle waged by just some. It's an endeavor that needs to be taken on by all of us together. This morning, we challenge ourselves and one another to be better than ever before. We reaffirm our commitment to everything King stood for, to take charge of this moment, connect through acts of compassion, and to use our collective voice to build something greater than the sum of its parts. Let us recognize today and every day that there is no finish line until parity of resource, access, health and wellness, safety and strength is equitable in all communities. And if we work together, we can craft a brighter future for everyone, one in which all children can look forward to growing up justly with security and opportunity, regardless of gender, religion, or race. Join us. Let's become builders of hope and peacemakers so justice may prevail over injustice. Together, uniting as one community, eager to embrace our shared humanity with unparalleled tolerance and respect for one another. Thank you.
Music is a powerful force that can inspire and uplift. Today, we are joined by two incredible musicians, Dorian Holley and Matt Rode. Dorian served as the vocal director for Michael Jackson and toured with Lionel Richie, Don Henley, Stevie Wonder, and Coldplay, just to name a few. Dorian and Matt, thank you for joining us to uplift us with your musical gifts. Welcome Dorian Holley and his accompanist, Matt Rode.
Morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Nice to see you again. It's always a great way to start the year for Matt and I to start it with you here at the Y. Has anybody here seen my old friend Abraham? Can you tell me where he's gone? He freed a lot of people, but it seems the good die young. I just looked around and he was gone. Has anybody here seen my old friend Martin? Can you tell me where he's gone? You know he freed a lot of people, but it seems the the good die young. Well, I just looked around and he was gone. Oh yes, now, has there anybody here seen my old friend John? Can you tell me where he's gone? You know, he freed a lot of people, but it seems the good die young. Then I just looked around and he was gone. Oh, you know that I just looked around and he was gone. Sadly, I just looked around and they were gone.
Dorian and Matt. And now I am so honored to be able to introduce our keynote speaker, California's Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. Shirley Nash Weber, PhD, was nominated to serve as the California Secretary of State by Governor Gavin Newsom and sworn into office January 29, 2021. She won a full term November of 2022 and is California's first Black Secretary of State, the second first to grace our stage. She is the fifth African American to serve as a state constitutional officer in California's 170-year history. The daughter of Arkansas sharecroppers who fled Jim Crow for California, her professional roots are in academia as a founding member of San Diego State University's Africana Studies Department, where she spent nearly 4 decades. Prior to her appointment as the Secretary of State, Secretary Weber served 4 terms as a California State Assembly member representing the 79th District. Secretary Weber is a fierce advocate for racial justice and has pioneered reforms in education and for our criminal justice system. She's a mother of 2 and widow to the late Honorable Daniel Weber. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for joining us today.
Good morning. One more time, good morning. All right, I love to talk to a living audience. I always tell folks, anyone who's not alive should truly be dead and not in this audience. I want to thank you this morning for having invited me to be with you. I always consider it a special honor to come home to Los Angeles, where I was raised, in the Pueblos of Los Angeles, and also on 45th Street and Broadway. The song that we just heard is a difficult song to hear. So many of us remember where we were. Martin Luther King passed away. I was a student at the time at UCLA, and I remember the conversations and the chatter. What do we do now? They've killed the best that we have. What do we do now? And most of the folks said, as always, just keep moving forward. Keep doing the work because it is not complete. There was nothing really unique about Martin Luther King as a person other than the fact that he answered the call, where so many people did not. He had no extra arms, no extra legs. He didn't have an extra brain. He was just an ordinary black man who answered the call. And I always tell people to remember that, because so often we think that folks who serve in those positions or who are leaders are really extraordinary individuals. They're just ordinary people addressing extraordinary problems. And then we have to keep that in mind, because if we don't, we will not do anything ourselves. We will stop moving forward. We will stop doing the things that are essential. And so I want to once again thank the gentleman for the song, reminding us of how much we've lost over the years, but equally important, reminding us of those who have given us so much and given us such a foundation to stand on. I'm honored to be here because as I told folks the other day in my inaugural address, the second one, that I'm really not supposed to be here when you look at all the data points of my life. Because people often ask, how did you become Secretary of State? And I said, the data doesn't add up. You know, when you're a sharecropper's daughter, raised in the Pueblos, the projects of Los Angeles, attending inner city schools, born in a two-room shack in Hope in Arkansas, father fleeing from the Klan to come to California to be with my grandmother, who was here. And so it goes on, and those points just don't add up to becoming California's Secretary of State, the third constitutional officer in terms of line to the governor's office. It doesn't add up. So obviously there were some extraordinary things that happened in most black folks' lives that add up and make a difference. And I'm grateful to be here with you, grateful to the governor, grateful to Californians who elected me with overwhelming votes this past November to remain as a Secretary of State. Your theme is keep moving forward. And it's interesting to me because I'm thinking, what would you do other than that? Sit down? Roll backwards? All those kinds of things. And yet the reality is many people do sit down and do roll backwards and lose the progress that we've made. And that in itself is totally unacceptable. I never thought in my lifetime, it's interesting, that I would be addressing the issues of voting rights and voting suppression in California and across this nation. I think many of us are shocked by the things that we've seen over the last few years. We've seen a movement backwards in the worst kind of way. And that has shocked so many of us and shocked lots of young folks around the nation when we discovered that instead of the forward movement, we're now being bothered with all these things that reek of a history that is an unhealthy and undesirable history. And we should be outraged. We should be outraged. I never thought that I would take this challenge because when I was asked to become Secretary of State by the governor, it was not a job that I had sought. Everybody else was lobbying for it. I was not. I was actually thinking of my wonderful retirement that I had been delayed from going to when I came into the assembly. My friend Tony Atkins, President Pro Tem, talked me into it. I felt guilty because California had been so good to this poor little kid who went to UCLA and got 3 degrees and only owed $2,500. I thought to myself, I got to do something, okay? She made me feel guilty. And I said, okay, I'll do this, but I'm only going to do it for 6 years, which was the term limit at the time. Didn't realize there was an initiative on the ballot to make it 12 years. Lucky me. And, but I was winding the corner, had just done my 5th election, moving into my 9th year as an assembly member, and pretty much settled and pleased with what I had done. The bills that I had written for reparations, the issues of police force and use of force, redefining that, talking about racial profiling, doing educational things. I was content. I had done these things, and it was great. And so I was looking forward to what I was supposed to do 10 years earlier, which was to go and build my house up in Jashi, in Ghana, and waiting for that experience to happen. And then I got called about the Secretary of State's position. And I was tempted to say no. But once again, the feeling of guilt comes in. And I realized that things I had told my students for 40 years, that there will come a time that it will be your time. And what are you going to do? You guys sit here with all the stuff behind you. You can look at the Black Power movements and the this movement and the that movement and the kings and the heroes and the heroines. But one of these days, it will be your turn. to basically push us all forward in a very aggressive way, not in just the passive things that we've done, but in a more aggressive way. And I realized at that point, when I was asked to become Secretary of State, I said, who better to talk about the suppression that's going on in this nation, the attacks on voting rights, the attacks on our voting system, the attacks on our democracy, than a kid whose parents could never vote in Hope, Arkansas, whose grandparents died and never had a chance to vote in Arkansas because they died before the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and have been denied access to voting. Who but a kid whose mother loved voting so much that she turned the living room of our house into a voting poll, and it did for many years until she passed away. She was in charge of voting in our neighborhood. And every election, and you know, LA has these off-year elections. They used to have them. I think you still do, I'm not sure. But, you know, so we'd have an election at least once a year in our living room, if not more. And my mother took pride in that. She took pride in the fact that this was important. And so when I began to ask myself a question, who but this woman who understands what it is to be able not to vote, but also understand when there's nothing to vote for on a ballot, that communities don't see the resources or the help that they need to have in order to move forward in the ballot itself and the elected officials. And so I accepted the challenge, and it has been a roller coaster ride ever since. I'm honored to be your Secretary of State in this particular time and at this moment. I was ecstatic over November's election because I was greatly concerned and very much afraid that we would elect 7 or 8 election deniers across the nation who deny the legitimacy of the 2020 election, who have asked for nothing but audit after audit after audit and have stressed most of our registrar voters out to the point that many of them are leaving, that they're attacking people at the polls who work at the polls, and in California we've had to have a special act to protect our people who work at the polls, just the everyday citizen who volunteers his or her time to come and do and work for us, that we have legislation now to protect them from people who want to attack them and want to attack their families and all those kinds of things. And these folks are just doing the labor of love that my mother did for many, many years. So with that in mind, I took the challenge. And we've done some amazing things as we talk about the challenge itself, the challenge of voting. California's been fortunate because its legislature has not been authoring these crazy pieces of legislation that are across the nation. Over 300 pieces of legislation to limit people's right to vote. Atlanta says you can't vote on Sunday afternoon. The afternoon, the polls have to close. Why? Because black people were leaving churches and going to vote after church. So therefore, you make it difficult. You say at 12 o'clock, there's no more voting in Atlanta. And so as a result, you cut off the pipeline of support for people to vote. Legislation across the country making it harder for people to be absentee ballot and to vote by mail, when that really was the tool used by more whites than black people and people of color. They didn't use the tool of voting by mail because we didn't trust the mail, and we didn't trust what other folks would do with our ballot, and we had had that experience, and so we wanted to vote in person. But all of those things that make it easier for people to vote were being taken away, And so we face here now a situation in this country where pretty much for the last 60 years, it's almost people are trying to erase the history of civil rights and the progress that we've made. And we should be outraged. We should be greatly concerned. And we should be fiercely looking at those that we elect and fiercely looking at the issues that are on our ballots. Because every issue that's there is not really designed always to promote and to help and promote the concept of voting. And so it is with that level of pride that I accept the Secretary of State's position, because I know that these are very critical times, and if you don't feel it, you must not be looking anywhere outside of your house, because everywhere we turn, there's someone trying to attack the system of voting. In California, we're somewhat fortunate because we haven't had the level of attacks that other places have had, but nonetheless, we still have election deniers in California. We still have people who are trying to bum rush our registrar voters, as well as our people who work in the polls. In some of these communities, it's very difficult to get people just to work in the polls because of the fact that their neighbors don't like the outcome of the election, as if the person working in the polls is determining the outcome. But it's making it very difficult. In fact, we're meeting with the governor's staff to basically increase the kind of legislation we're going to have in order to protect people working in the polls. That we have put them in a special category and prosecute individuals who attack them and try to keep them from even coming to work. So it's an amazing time in our history when we start talking about where are we. We have made tremendous progress in some areas, and yet I think most of us are heartbroken over the racial divide that's here, over the attacks on the Jewish community and the temples and places of worship. It is shocking that we live in this country, that this is occurring after so many years of pushing the agenda, making sure that we knew about it. Many of you still wondering what happened with Roe v. Wade. Pushing the agenda, making sure things happen correctly is what we should be about, and yet we have not paid close attention to it. And so when I start asking folks about, why are we here, what are we here to do, clearly there's a tremendous amount of work that still remains that has to be done, that we have somehow or another, I feel in many ways we have failed our children because they're being confronted with the same level of hate and discrimination that we were confronted with. And while most of us think the world had changed, people had just become silent about it. And now as soon as the opportunity comes to open it up, it becomes there. I was listening to a friend the other day who was talking about banning books. I'd heard that in the 50s and the 60s, that people were actually going to ban books and didn't want people to read different authors that were out there, trying to make sure that our kids' minds were closed to anything that may be different and any information that'd be different. So it's been really interesting to watch this come full circle to where we're actually taking books out of schools and banning certain curriculum. I've had teachers ask me, can we teach any more about Martin Luther King? Can we teach about civil rights across the nation? And you can, but you can't. It's one of those things they tell you. You can't talk about the fact that discrimination exists in this country. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear what they call critical race theory, which is really just the history of this nation. And so as a result, we have people now trying to once again block out the past. It reminds me so much of all the books that were done and all the movies that were done, like Birth of a Nation, where they rewrote the whole history of Reconstruction in a movie and promoted that as if that African Americans were these incompetent people after serving in legislatures. And as a result, Birth of a Nation was formed, was this movie that was played in the White House and embraced. And so when you think about that, and you think about folks who want to ban books, who are anti what they call critical race theory, don't want information shared that might be uncomfortable, you basically have trying to mind control and wipe out the history of people of color in this nation. And yet we should be confronting our history, working to improve our presence, and making sure the history never happens again. It is interesting as Secretary of State, as I face these issues, that California is unique, thank God, because while others are trying to keep people from voting and trying to make sure it's harder and more difficult for people to vote and limiting the voters that are there and trying to impose these real strict identification laws and so forth and so on that they know will hinder people from going to the polls, California is unique because we are racing to improve voting and we're racing to allow more individuals to vote. You voted to basically allow those on parole to vote that they couldn't vote before. People are looking now as whether or not folks who are incarcerated, not just the ones sitting in county jails, because they can vote by California law and we let them vote. But those who are in prisons now, people are looking at legislation that may make it right for them to vote, because you shouldn't lose all of your rights because you committed a crime. You shouldn't lose your citizenship. You shouldn't lose your American responsibility to have some impact at all in the area of voting. And so we're looking, California's unique. We are racing toward inclusion. This past year, we finally hit the 82% mark of all of those eligible to vote are registered in California, 82%. We have a pre-registration program that basically registers 16-year-olds, 16 and 17-year-olds, getting them ready to vote. In the last 3 years, we have registered pre-registered 1 million 16 and 17-year-olds in the last 3 years. And we've reached into our universities to make sure that they're all actively involved and they can register when they register for classes online, they can register to vote at that time. We have almost 800,000 of our college students were registered in this in year 2022, who were not registered, who are now registered to vote. And we have competition among our campuses to make sure that they actually vote. They not only register, but that they vote. And so while others have run away from voting and trying to restrict those who vote, trying to limit the time frame and what have you, California is running to it. You know, everybody gets vote by mail. We have voting centers that are sometimes open 11 days before the election. You can actually, and there's multiple ways in which you can vote in California. And that is important because the voice of the people of California need to be heard. And it has to be heard loud and clear because we're the most diverse state in the union, and yet we're the 4th largest economy in the world. And it's important people recognize that is not just a fluke. That is because California has embraced its people who live here, and we've embraced our history with all of its flaws, and are teaching our children right now in K-12 and at the university. There's a requirement for ethnic studies to make sure that all of our children know, not just black students, not just Latino students, but every child in California should know the history of California because it is a diverse state and that history is powerful. And we shouldn't run from it, we should run to it. We have, as I said, we've embraced our critical race theories because we allow that information to be taught in every school, K-12 as well as post-secondary. So this is an amazing time for us as how we're going to move forward. This is our legacy. Our legacy is one of strength and perseverance and resiliency. We should not in any way diminish the work of the past, and we should always build upon that past because that is a strong foundation for where we are as Californians. We should be outraged over the things that happen across the nation, absolutely outraged, because we cannot, even though California is a large state with lots of resources, we still live in the United States. We're still greatly impacted by whoever sits in the White House. We're greatly impacted by all of the congressmen and as well as the senators, not just from our state, but across the nation, that are basically making decisions about the lives of people in this room. And we should be basically moving forward to make sure that we are conscious of everyone that has any role at all in terms of legislation and the things that are to be done. And so we cannot do anything but move forward. But we must move forward aggressively and with a consciousness of change. I used to say all the time when I was in the assembly that freedom, justice, equality, those kind of qualities that exist in society, concepts of inclusion, those are rare flowers in this garden of life. And they require constant attention. They require constant watering with love, constant care, that we cannot believe that this just will happen and continue to exist on its own. It requires those of us to constantly nurture those concepts and put them forward. But hatred, discrimination, exclusion, all of those things that are ugly things, they really are weeds in our lives. And we know that weeds grow best in neglect. You don't have to water a weed, it will grow. You don't have to go outside and prune a weed, it will grow. Even if you have a wonderful garden, as we had with people being included and anti-discrimination and those kinds of things, if you don't nurture that, you don't continue to support that and give life to that, the weeds will come in and choke them out. And I think what we've seen over the last few years is too many weeds in our garden. We've had lots of platitudes, a lot of words of inclusion, a lot of words of freedom and justice and equality, and everybody, it's kumbaya. We've had all of that. And yet we have not worked on it and made sure that it is incorporated in everything we do at our business and our homes and our lives, our personal lives. And as a result, we wake up one morning and we see people marching on folks in Charlotte. We see people getting shot in places. We see the ugliness of the protest. And we see a Supreme Court now that has completely flipped in a totally different way. And everything we fought for, women, people of color, those who are just genuinely concerned and engaged with this nation, everything we fought for is under attack. And it had to be because we went to sleep at the wheel. That we believed in these things, but we didn't fight for them. We didn't advocate for them. We didn't include them in our lives. We just said, oh well, and we moved on. These are the times for no oh well, we move on. These are the times that we will fight and need to fight for what we want and to maintain the democracy that has made us all very proud of our role in this nation and those who are there. So I want to encourage you to, as young folks say, to stay woke. pay attention, see what's going on. But equally important, not just to pay attention and walk away, but to get involved, to make a difference. This is not about reaching a destination. This is about the journey of your life. That everywhere you go, you should make a difference. Every room that you sit in, you should make a difference. Every negative comment you hear, you should challenge. Because allowing things to happen without our engagement will put us in positions we do not want to be in. And it's not because we need to find an extraordinary leader like Dr. King. We need to find some ordinary folks who decided to do some extraordinary things. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We are glad as Californians that you decided to take a job that you didn't ask for and delay building your home in Ghana so that you could be here in service to this great state. I know that many of us have probably felt the responsibility to carry the mantle forward because of what others have done for us. And we heard our youth governor, Ava, and Madam Secretary of the State, Shirley Weber, talk about how their past would suggest that they would not be where they are today. And I think to that, I have to say that we have to trust our track record a little bit, because as women of color, when we aspire to achieve, as Dr. King so eloquently put it in blueprint number 2, we achieve excellence in whatever the field of endeavor is that we pursue. I think our next honoree definitely shows that. If you are familiar with the game of hockey, then you probably already know who this woman is, but I became a huge fan of her in just reading about her background and her work. The YMCA Human Dignity Award is given to individuals who have demonstrated leadership, compassion, and support to disadvantaged persons and have significantly impacted the quality of lives for them, their families, and their communities. And this is another first that I am so happy to be able to welcome. Blake Bolden is the first African-American woman to play in the women's NHL, and also the first African-American woman to be a pro scout in the National Hockey League. The 2023 YMCA Human Dignity Award recipient is Blake Bolden. Let's take a closer look at the life and work of Blake.
From the moment Blake Bolden was introduced to hockey as a young girl growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, an unquenchable fire for the game was ignited within her. That spark of inspiration has led her on a journey to become an accomplished player and a pioneering figure in the world of women's hockey. Blake was a driven and determined athlete at a young age. She played minor youth hockey for the Cleveland Barons and Ohio Flames. She then went to Northwood School in Lake Placid, New York, where she participated in the first Under-18 World Championship for Team USA, winning gold medals in 2008 and 2009. The next step in her journey was Boston College, where she served as team captain her senior year. She was also awarded Hockey East Defensive Player of the Year and All-American honors. Blake made history when the Boston Blades selected her 5th in the Canadiens Women's Hockey League draft, making her the first African-American player ever drafted in the first round. Driven to make her mark in the league, she competed in the CWHL's first All-American game and won the Clarkson and Isabel Cups. Destined to blaze even greater trails, Blake signed with the Boston Pride, becoming the first African-American player to compete in the National Women's Hockey League. At the time, virtually no African-American girls played hockey at any level. However, Blake broke down barriers and showed girls of color they could succeed. Blake emerged as 3-time NWHL All-Star, defined by her remarkable skill. Finally, she capped off an incredible professional career with the Buffalo Beauts by being named Defensive Player of the Year. In 2020, Blake made history again when the Los Angeles Kings hired her to be a pro scout, making her the first African-American female scout and the second ever female to scout for an NHL team. Her role with the Kings expanded when she became the Kings Growth and Inclusion Specialist. She topped the Athletics list of Hockey 40 Under 40 rankings and was named by Sports Illustrated to their most powerful women in sports list. Today, Blake aims to make herself visible, especially to Black and brown youth, as a broadcaster with ESPN, because she believes if you can see it, you can be it. She also created the Blake Bolden Mentorship Program, powered by Play It Again Sports, to teach girls all over the country mental skills, goal setting, and nutrition. She currently resides in California with her fur baby and husband, Miles. Blake's fearless determination to blaze a path has empowered girls and women of color to never give up on their aspirations. So today, as we reaffirm our commitment to achieving Dr. King's dream, the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles is proud to honor Blake Bolden with the YMCA Human Dignity Award.
So if you didn't know, now you know. For her leadership, compassion, and support in strengthening our most vulnerable communities, it gives me great honor to present the YMCA Human Dignity Award to Blake Bolden.
Wow. That was a beautiful tribune. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Thank you to the YMCA. This event is amazing. Everybody woke up early, and we all look so good. All right, the Human Dignity Award. I am incredibly honored and grateful to be here with you today. Though I have to be honest, when I found out I was going to be winning this award, I ran straight to my phone, Googled dignity, just because I wanted to really dig into it. So I felt like I really deserved this award. An award celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was mind-blowing to me, and it still is. But the line that I identified with when I researched read, dignity, the equality or state of being worthy, honored, or esteemed. And immediately, that lit me up. It made my heart smile because I have worked so hard in my life to feel worthy. Then I looked up the definition of human dignity, which read, the right of a person to be valued and respected for their own sake, and to be treated ethically, and that all people hold a special value. I think that is so beautiful and so true. I look out at this room of faces, and I see so much value, so much power, so much potential and love. I see all of you, and I am honored to be here with each of you today. I'll let you in on another secret. The reason I am able to stand here in front of you and be so dignified and even be eligible to receive this award is because of the people around me. The people who have helped me along the way, those that have lifted me up, that have given me space and a platform to grow, create impact, and prosper. In fact, a few of these people are here today. One being my husband, and I love saying that because we just got married. And the others who are here representing an organization of the highest value, who genuinely care about benefiting this community and improving the lives of its beautiful people. No one in LA would know my name or my message if the Los Angeles Kings hadn't recognized my value and intrinsic worth. So thank you, Kings. Luke Robitaille, shout out Luke, giving me a chance to follow a newfound passion in pro scouting after just meeting me once, and then constantly, when no one was watching, check in on me, mentor me, and cheer me on. Kelly Cheeseman, helping me build out a role as a growth and inclusion specialist, unheard of at the time, and being so dedicated to supporting We Are All Kings initiatives with the leadership of Jennifer Pope and our esteemed hockey development team, who aim every day to share the game of hockey and put smiles on kids' faces. Nelson, having faith in me and trusting my opinions, even when it wasn't the popular one, and allowing me to develop as a scout and person, giving me the tough feedback when it was necessary, and then laying on the compliments when they were due. I could go on and on, because in reality, we are all a composition of the quality of people we surround ourselves with. As long as a song is only as beautiful as the notes played within it. And if me receiving this award is a testament to one thing, it is that I have been surrounded by incredible people the last 3 years. People who have empowered me to be my true self, who have guided me when I needed it, who let me lead when I felt strong, and who stood by me when it was time to take a stand. Speaking of taking a stand, to be recognized and awarded at an event that honors the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is something I will cherish for the rest of my life. The beliefs and teachings of Dr. King are exactly what our culture needs more of right now. An annual celebration, and that is a constant reminder that taking a stand against racism, prejudice, hate, and abuse in any way, in all forms, we do not stand for it, and it does not belong here. We all deserve respect and to be treated with dignity. And I now have taken the time to get to know the members of this community, and it is clear to me that we are all royalty. My favorite quote of Dr. King's is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And in my perspective, we can solve the problems we are having in our society, not by more judgment, division, and pain, but rather with acceptance, unity, and love. With a disarming smile and a curious question, rather than a mean scowl and a furious slur, with a hand that reaches out for truce, rather than a shove or a cold shoulder. And with patience and kindness for all walks of life, with no need for labels of sides, teams, or color, denominations, jurisdictions, or hoods. After all, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, we are all one under the eyes of God, and one home, and we have one home, and that home is Los Angeles. And now, more than ever, is the time to realize that and remind ourselves to come back to one another. As each of us, every donor, community member, YMCA volunteer leader, philanthropist, friend, family member, and elected official, has the power to rebuild this community. One day, one step, one word, one action at a time. So let's continue to do this together. Let's stand for human dignity. Let's embody the beliefs of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And most importantly, let's stand for each other, because we are all kings. Thank you.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely going to some more Kings games. The YMCA Brotherhood Award is given to individuals who have provided opportunities to people regardless of race, religion, sex, or economic status, and most importantly, who have served as tireless models to the community for community service and social justice. When people ask me, Chelsea, what do you want to be when you grow up? I say I'm still figuring it out, but a pretty good model is our next honoree. Whether it was starting her career at the firm where I am now, JP Morgan, her work at the Jackie Robinson Foundation, or all of the amazing impact that she's created in this last decade with the Dodgers Foundation, Nicole Whiteman is an embodiment of what it means to be a recipient of this award, and I am so honored to call her both a mentor and a friend. The 2023 YMCA Brotherhood Award recipient is Nicole Whiteman. Let's take a closer look at her impactful work.
Nicole Whiteman is CEO of the award-winning Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation. She is a powerful force for good in the world of sports philanthropy, who works tirelessly and fearlessly on behalf of the children, teams, and families of Los Angeles, championing the belief that all young people deserve to reach their full potential. Philanthropic work is personal for Nicole, a native New Yorker and daughter of Jamaican immigrants. As a teen, she was named a Better Chance Scholar and awarded a full scholarship to attend the Canterbury School. She then went on to attend Spelman College in Atlanta after she received a scholarship from the Jackie Robinson Foundation. It was Jackie Robinson's legacy of discipline, integrity, and inclusion that enabled Nicole to become the first member in her family to graduate from college. Today, backed by the Dodgers and her dedicated staff, Nicole leads the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation in the service of their mission to improve education, healthcare, homelessness, and social justice for all Angelenos. During her tenure, the Dodgers Foundation has launched incredibly impactful programs such as Dodgers Dream Team, formerly Dodgers RBI, a youth development initiative serving more than 12,000 youth today. And as part of their commitment to the Los Angeles communities, the foundation completed its 58th Dodgers Dream Field, created a benefit gala, and increased philanthropic gifts by over 1,000%. She also advocated for strong charitable partnerships with nonprofits through strategic grant making to build capacity and reach. To date, the Dodgers Foundation has invested over $40 million in the community and provided over 6 million meals since 2020. In 2017, they partnered with the LAY to fund our Play program as part of the Urban Initiative, Cradle to Career Success. In 2019, Dodgers Dream Team was launched at the Southeast Rio Vista Y and eventually expanded to include the Weingart East LA and Wilmington Ys. Most recently, a Dodgers Dream Field was completed at Maywood Park, home to the Southeast Rio Vista Y. As a Black woman in Major League Baseball, Nicole understands the importance of access. She opens doors and creates opportunities for youth from all backgrounds because she knows each person has the power to positively impact a life. Her journey is full of inspiration and hope as she fights for young people to realize their dreams. She resides in Los Angeles with her husband Timothy and 2 sons, Timothy Jr. and Nicholas. Therefore, today, as we reaffirm our commitment to achieve Dr. King's dream, the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles is proud to honor Nicole Whiteman with the YMCA Brotherhood Award.
For her leadership, compassion, and support in strengthening our most vulnerable communities, it gives me great honor to present the YMCA Brotherhood Award to Nicole Whiteman.
Good morning. I just whispered in Chelsea's ear as the video was playing, how are people supposed to speak after that? Thank you for that amazing tribute. What a great way to start the new year. It is an absolute gift to receive such an award as we are commemorating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. First and foremost, allow me to thank the YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles. What a remarkable partner they have been on our journey that has been reignited under my leadership the last 10 years in helping us to create a significant difference in the communities that I have the honor of serving. I'd like to thank the people behind the magic, the committee that chaired this event. I actually was a part of that committee last year, and the running joke is they kicked me off the committee to honor me this year. But thank you to Chelsea Crowder-Luke, the chair of that committee and the chair of this breakfast. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Chelsea. You continue to amaze me. As much as Chelsea says she wants to be me when I grow up, I want to be her, even though she's younger. I'm just so honored to know you. I also want to thank the Metro YMCA president and CEO, my friend, Victor Dominguez. Victor, I am so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I'm just truly happy for you, and I know that you're going to take the Y to places they've never seen. Tremendous thanks to the entire board of directors for this amazing honor. Victor, I have to say, when your telephone call came and you shared and expressed the desires of the board of directors and the committee, it was certainly one of my best moments of 2020, so thank you. I thank each one of you for being here this morning so early. As has already been said, this is a very early breakfast, but what a truly remarkable way to start your day. I am grateful today to be joined by my husband, Timothy Whiteman, my son, Nicholas Whiteman, my sister, Nafisa McKenzie, my aunt, Sarah McKenzie, and family members, friends, teammates, and partners. Thank you for being here. When accepting an honor as meaningful as this one, I can't help but think of my courageous parents, Rosemarie and Noelle McKenzie, who set so much of the stage for what will become my life. They bravely migrated to America from Jamaica in search of a life with more opportunities. From the very beginning, they instilled the hard work and the value of determination. As I accept the Brotherhood Award today, I am full of emotion as I reflect on the journey that led to this moment. For high school, as you saw in the video, I earned a scholarship to attend a private boarding school in Connecticut where hardly anyone shared my background or experiences or looked like me. Despite a yearning for familiar faces and places, I excelled away from my family and I was fully prepared for the rigors of college life. Having spent 4 years in a community very much outside my own, I decided to attend Spelman College, a historically Black college built to educate the Black woman. There I thrived. Spelman meant so much to me then and now, especially as I reflect on Dr. King's time at Morehouse College, our brother school, which was literally less than 100 feet from Spelman. Starting his Morehouse College journey in 1944 at the age of 15, you can still feel his energy throughout that community. You can feel the passion and the commitment that he left behind. And I am the proud mother of a current freshman at Morehouse College. It is simply amazing to know that my son, Timothy Whiteman Jr., is studying at an institution that put Dr. King on his path to ministry and the civil rights struggle. Surrounded by brilliant educators and peers, Spelman prepared me for excellence in my career, the community, and beyond. After graduation, I started my career with a position in investment banking, as Chelsea mentioned, at JP Morgan, before I ventured into the publishing industry with positions at Essence and Black Enterprise magazine. While corporate America brought many exciting moments, something was missing. I sought an experience where I could impact the lives of those who needed support the most. As an alumna of the Jackie Robinson Foundation, I had experienced the power of philanthropy firsthand. Thanks to their mentorship and financial support in college, I had gained the tools that were necessary in the boardroom and beyond. In a full circle of events, I eventually accepted a position with the Jackie Robinson Foundation where I served as the vice president of the Western region. From there, my love for philanthropy continued to blossom. After expanding my reach throughout education philanthropy, I was eventually recruited to serve as the CEO of the Dodgers Foundation 10 years ago. It was a combination of being in the right place at the right time and having put in the necessary hard work that afforded me this opportunity. I was chosen by amazing leaders like Mark Walter, Magic Johnson, and Renata Simbrel, President and CEO of the LA84 Foundation and board member of the Dodgers Foundation and previous Brotherhood Award recipient. I think Renata had to leave a little bit early today, but I'm so thankful she was here. It's been an incredible journey, one that has allowed me to advocate for the most vulnerable in the Los Angeles community, a journey where we like to say it's bigger than baseball. As we enter this 2023 year, I am reminded of the resilience that Angelenos have shown over the past few years. After enduring the trauma of the pandemic, we see light symbolizing what we hope is the beginning of a new chapter. As we journey towards recovery, I take pride in leading an organization that has remained a consistent presence in the communities that need us. The pandemic fueled physical, emotional, and financial devastation in the lives of so many who were already struggling, already reeling from historic gaps in equity and opportunity, accelerated rates of homelessness, and education barriers, to name a few. These same economic and education barriers are those that Dr. Martin Luther King fought to dismantle so many decades ago. And while we have made incredible strides, there is so much work to do. Rather than be overwhelmed by the thought of making equality a reality, I am inspired by Dr. King's legacy of partnership, sacrifice, and resilience. Since 2013, the Dodgers Foundation has raised $81 million to strengthen our operations and better serve LA. We have invested nearly $60 million to serve over 9 million youth through direct programs and grants to local nonprofit organizations. Since 2020 alone, we have invested $1 million in social justice organizations with a particular emphasis on young men and boys of color. Part of being a proud American means admitting when we can improve as a society. Dr. King bravely used his platform to highlight the strength of America intertwined with within our nation's desperate need to do better. During a lecture that he delivered after winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, Dr. King's words, which still very much ring true, and I'll slightly condense here in the interest of time, he said, "Yet in spite of these spectacular strides in science and technology, something basic is missing. There is a sort of poverty of the spirit which stands in glaring contrast to our scientific and technological abundance. We have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers. Living together as brothers means that we cannot be okay seeing families struggle. We cannot be okay knowing that nearly 70,000 Angelenos go to bed every night on our streets. We cannot be okay with 1 in 4 Angelenos not knowing where their next meal is coming from. We cannot be okay with 1 in 4 children living in poverty. Because social justice has always been central to our work, we are proof that Dr. King's legacy lives. And it lives thanks to the alliances that he built that continue to inspire philanthropy today. The Dodgers Foundation has such a dynamic impact in communities throughout Los Angeles thanks to our partnerships with organizations like the YMCA. We're heading into our 6th season of having the YMCA as a Dodgers Dream Team partner. In the first 5 years, we had over 1,200 youth participate in the program. And last year, as you saw in the video, we also proudly unveiled our 58th Dodgers Dream Field with the YMCA in the city of Maywood. And we do this work in the name of equality, in the name of social justice, thanks to the pathway that has been blazed by Dr. King. Although my name is on this award, I could not do this work alone. Thank you to my team for being here. Our values of excellence, collaboration, teamwork, they live on in us every single day, and I'm so honored to be able to do this work with you. A very special shout out to our Chief Operating Officer, Shatali Galameta, our Manager of Grants and Initiatives, Alyssa Plord, Tiffany Rubin, our Senior Director of Programs, and John Muto, our Manager of Programs, for their stewardship of our relationship with the YMCA over the years. I'd like to congratulate the great company that I had here today to be in the presence of the keynote speaker, California Secretary of State, Shirley Nash Weber. Amazing for me and a real highlight for me today. And congratulations to Blake Bolden. Blake, you are phenomenal. Yes, she's an NHL scout. Yes, she's working so tirelessly here in the Los Angeles community right now. And just a huge kudos to what the LA Kings have done to give you the platform that you so very much deserve. And before I close, an extra special shout out to the Westchester YMCA for giving the older guys, like my husband, a place to stay fit and enjoy a brotherhood away from home. I had to do that. My son was just here on his college break, and he spent so much time at Westchester Y. And lastly, I leave you all with some of Martin Luther King Jr.'s words that Andrew also shared with us earlier today. If you can't fly, then run. We will run. If you can't run, then walk. We will walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. We will crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. We will keep moving forward. Thank you.
It's so funny. My sister, she texted me, all these really young-looking black women have done hundreds of years of work. And as the saying goes, black don't crack, but I know we also have a lot of leaders and legislators in the room. We should crack down on those child labor laws because the math is not mathing with all of this amazing experience. Thank you all for joining us at the 52nd Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brotherhood Celebration. As has been said before, it's more than just baseball, it's more than just hockey, it's more than just gyms and swimming pools. We will now conclude with the traditional benediction, "We shall overcome," after which you guys can go back to the rest of your day. So please welcome Dorian Holly and Matt Rode back to the stage. Thank you.
So this is, I just want to say, this is not the part where you get to watch and listen. This is the part where you get to sing, you get to join, and everybody loves to sing. We want you to do this with us. I also want to say that everybody whose phone went off during this event today, you have to report to the principal's office outside in the lobby. Make sure you say hello to the ladies in the red hats. I'm always so happy to see them. Happy New Year, ladies. God bless you. Happy New Year. Everybody sing. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Come on, sing with me. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Sing with me. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Your last chance to sing in 2023. Sing it. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. One more time, we shall overcome someday. Very well done, well done. God bless everybody. See you next year.